Jamie peered through a narrow shard of clear obsidian, the single white pupil that gleamed at the heart of their creation. Against the deep black iris of the owl, it looked almost alive, an unblinking eye that could see through chaos itself. Each wingbeat came deliberate, precise, guided by unseen currents that Jamie alone could read. The cost of that clarity was steep, his body trembled with exhaustion, even as Aksochi's energy pulsed faintly within him, staving off collapse. Every wrong move, every momentary lapse in focus, threatened to hurl them toward the monstrous storm ahead. That storm loomed closer now, a vast spiraling wall of air and sand, a predator waiting for their strength to fail. Jaime's eyes burned gold as he steered the obsidian construct with steady resolve. Marisol, at his side, mirrored his movements, her control over the black glass becoming more refined with each breath. The frantic chatter of Simi had softened into gentle hoot-hoots, no longer reprimand but quiet approval, as if the tiny owl could sense their unity. For the first time since the trials began, the three moved in perfect harmony. Their heartbeats aligned with the rhythm of the obsidian owl's wings. Faith itself seemed to clothe them, a shimmering veil of spirit that took the shape of their guides. Jamina felt Zolo's presence wrap around her like a warm embrace, his familiar grin easing the tension in her chest. The warmth became overwhelming, comfort mixed with sorrow, until tears spilled freely from her eyes. A low, aching howl escaped her lips, and the obsidian owl echoed it, its crystalline voice ringing through the storm like a lament. The sound carried emotion, grief, defiance, and love, woven together into something beyond words. Marisol felt Jamina's pain ripple through her, and in that moment, she refused to let it sink them. She drew the ache into herself, transforming it, amplifying the warmth, turning sorrow into strength. Her spirit surged, and old wounds, once tender and buried, began to heal. Then something new formed between them, a spiritual echo, deep and resonant. The boundaries between flesh and crystal blurred, obsidian flowed like water, joining their bodies to the construct. Their faith-born cloaks fused with their skin, becoming conduits of living rock and soul. They could feel one another fully now, every tremor of fear, every flicker of courage. Jaime's steady spirit anchored them, cooling the flames of grief and guiding them through the storm's turmoil. The girls, in turn, filled him with something he had long lost, warmth, hope, and a righteous anger that burned clean instead of consuming. In that balance, his wisdom, their passion, they found perfect flight. The obsidian owl blazed brighter with every beat of its wings, its body veined with threads of gold and violet light. The storm howled in fury, but the owl did not falter. It shrieked once, a cry that rang through the heavens, not in fear, but in rebellion. A crystalline, resonant cry of faith defying the storm. The obsidian owl surged forward, using the storm's fury as its ally. With a deft twist of wings, it caught a violent current and slingshotted itself away, toward the horizon where the final trial waited. The spiritual cloak around the obsidian owl shimmered, and through it the trio could feel the air outside, every rush of wind, every prickle of rain, as though against their own skin. The sensation was intoxicating, an impossible balance of danger and grace. The owl soared for a long while, gliding with effortless precision, its dark wings riding the breath of the storm. Energy cycled endlessly between them, from guide to child, from heart to spirit, looping through the obsidian core. Every motion was supported by their bond, every beat fed by faith. In their trance, the line between body and construct disappeared. They were no longer three children controlling a sacred machine. They were the owl itself, a creature of crystal and will. And nothing could stop them. Euphoria consumed hesitation, spirit, mind, and body aligned in perfect rhythm, an addictive harmony that their guides carefully tempered, feeding them energy in measured, deliberate pulses. Like loving parents rationing sweets to their eager children, dark emotions burned to ash, while excessive joy was purified into calm resolve. Thoughts, once tangled by youth and doubt, unwound and settled into understanding. As the owl approached a vast, churning wall of darkness, a storm greater than all before, the children began to change. Within that shared trance, they grew beyond the limits of their bodies. Scars that had shaped them no longer bound them. Grief turned to wisdom, fear to faith. They were no longer just surviving the trial. They were transcending it. The owl's cloak flared, gold light bursting through the storm, casting halos through the rain. Power unimaginable flowed through the construct, and the large head in which they sat began to blaze with life. From within the obsidian, veins of violet energy rippled outward, joining with the golden feathers of faith until both glowed together, two halves of the same divine light. The guides worked in harmony, distributing the torrent of power before it could consume their charges. Every heartbeat became an invocation, every breath, a prayer. Then, a cry split the heavens. The owl screeched, its voice a crystalline echo of divine defiance. The sound reverberated across the skies, shaking loose the fury of the storm. Pillars of wind surged from the colossal wall ahead, twisting upward, massive vortexes connecting heaven and earth. The path forward shuddered open for a moment, fleeting and perilous. If they could navigate the maze of those monstrous columns, if they could endure the scything winds that tore through earth and sky alike, they might just reach the end of the trial. But one mistake, one falter of faith, and the storm would claim them whole. The owl dove forward once more, surrendering to the torrential currents that raged around it. The obsidian construct no longer felt like a creation of stone and faith, it was alive. The children, their guides, and the storm itself moved as one. Shadows of immense power formed behind them, unseen hands pushing, lifting, and propelling the owl ever onward. Like a leaf swept through a mountain river, the owl danced between chaos and grace, slipping through the maelstrom's jaws, gliding between streams of air that could tear mountains apart. Each vortex tugged at them, each current tried to claim a fragment of their being. From deep within the construct came a sigh, crystalline and layered, carrying the harmony of three hearts, three spirits. It was the sound of resolve given form, a determined heart, a resilient mind, and eyes that had learned wisdom through pain. Blazing with faith, the obsidian owl plunged deeper into the storm's living wall. Pillars of wind rose around them like the trunks of a colossal forest, howling as they twisted between sky and earth. The cloak of faith shimmered, its light steady even in the storm's wrath. It would protect them now, even if the wind tried to tear them apart. All that remained was trust, in their God, in their guides, and in the rhythm of their joined hearts. A cry erupted from the owl, wild and instinctive. Power surged through the construct, burning every last drop of energy and will into a single radiant blaze, an inextinguishable pyre of faith. Then the transformation began. The obsidian body shone brighter than ever, refracting color through every storm-tossed droplet. From its form unfurled feathers of pure light, gold spreading across its wings and back, violet shimmering along its belly and head. Its eyes, deep as midnight, held a single white pupil clear of doubt and fear. A creature beyond imagining had emerged, divine and terrible in beauty. The distorted cry of stone became song, crystalline and pure. A sound like wind chimes rang through the tempest, joined by a low whistle and the haunting echo of a flute. Patterns began to carve themselves into its body, glowing sigils etched by divine hands. And then came the name. Yolquetzal, precious heart of light. He soared through the storm like a comet cutting through the heavens, his rainbow feathers streaking across the dark. The wind itself bowed to his passage, the storm parting around his radiant form. A symbol of purity, a song of conviction, a heart reborn in faith. Yolquetzal, the trio cried out in unison, their voices lost to thunder, yet echoing in eternity.